Tahar Tujani from Belgium. Very Venerable Gishino Sayama from Japan. Reverend Shokei Stephens from Japan. Monsignor Alois Justen, Belgium. Monsignor Ignacio Sayao Kaigama from Nigeria. Monsignor Felix Anthony Machado, India. Monsignor Jean Barga, Cameroon. Monsignor Michel Santier, France. Monsignor Paul van der Berge, Belgium. Her Majesty the Queen. Dear friends, at the end of these days of dialogue, friendship and prayer, we are gathered here in the very heart of Antwerp to live together the final moment of our meeting. With its history, this city of Antwerp has accompanied our reflection. And its people for this welcome.
Very welcome to you all, dear friends of Sant'Egidio, friends of peace, here in Antwerp, for this 28th edition of the international meeting Peace is the Future, Religion and Cultures in Dialogue, 100 years after World War I.
Solemn ceremony represents the joyful conclusion of 3 days of dialogue, prayer and friendship. All continents are represented here, and especially those world regions who at this moment are threatened by the dark clouds of war and violence. My mind goes to Ukraine.
We listen now to the words of Bishop Johann Boni in his address speech in this final ceremony, which is gathering together more than 350 leaders, religious leaders and personalities coming from the cultural and political environment. More than 60 countries all around the world. They gathered together here in Antwerp to talk, to pray, to speak for peace and to say once again, and with a very strong conviction, that never religion can be used, never violence can be used in the name of God and in the name of any religion.
That dialogue is more robust than war. Your Majesty, honorable representatives of the civil authorities, honorable representatives of all churches and ecclesial communities, honorable representatives of major world religions and denominations, dear members of and friends of the community of Sant'Egidio, dear participants to this international meeting, Peace is the Future. I would like to thank all of you for having contributed to the success of these meetings. Ringrazio di cuore il professore Andrea Riccardi e tutta la comunità di Sant'Egidio. Senza la loro visione, competenza e passione, questo incontro non avrebbe potuto aver luogo. Nella mia veste di vescovo di Anversa vorrei rivolgere un ringraziamento particolare, con orgoglio e con stima, alla comunità locale di Sant'Egidio di Anversa.
Bishop Johann Boni just said that he's thanking Professor Andrea Riccardi and with him all the community of Sant'Egidio worldwide, and especially the community of Sant'Egidio of Antwerp, of whom he is proud and of whom he esteems very much.
Impresa unica e grande che voi avete portato a buon fine. Ne possiamo essere orgogliosi.
A unique and tremendous endeavor that you managed to accomplish, said Bishop Johann Boni to the community of Sant'Egidio. We can be proud of this.
Lavorare insieme per costruire ponti di dialogo e di amicizia in questo mondo. Forse c'è chi per questo ci considera ingenui. Vi ringrazio perché continuate tutti a credere nello spirito di Assisi, nei vostri paesi e nelle vostre comunità. Mijn dank gaat tenslotte uit naar alle deelnemers uit België en meer in het bijzonder uit de regio Antwerpen, hier zo talrijk aanwezig op deze unieke plek. Niet alleen veraf, maar ook dichtbij willen wij bouwen aan een samenleving waarin mensen van verschillende godsdiensten en levensbeschouwingen het beste in elkaar kunnen waarderen en in vriendschap met elkaar kunnen delen. Vooral op onze eigen plaats mogen we onze eigen verantwoordelijkheid niet ontlopen. Dank aan allen voor uw gewaardeerde aanwezigheid en medewerking. Peace is the future. Dank u wel en goede reis terug naar huis. Thank you very much and have a good journey back home. Merci bien et un bon voyage de retour.
Thank you, Excellency. We are now pleased to listen to the words of Mr. Antonio Tajani, Vice President of the European Parliament.
Majesty, the Archbishop of Antwerp, caro Andrea Riccardi, fondatore della comunità di Sant'Egidio. Today, I have the honor to represent the European Parliament, and the President Martin Schulz sends his best wishes to you all. 2 years ago, we received the Nobel Prize for Peace for our contribution to over 60 years of peace in Europe. Achieving peace both inside and outside Europe is our work today. It has been the work of generations before us, and it will be the work of generations after us. The European Union was created for the advancement of peace, reconciliation, democracy, and human rights. Economic growth, prosperity, and jobs are all united by one basic promise. This promise is peace. Peace is the result of a relentless conquest because it means to promote and achieve solidarity and equality between people of different social backgrounds. The community of Sant'Egidio is an indispensable protagonist of this action and has been fostering interreligious dialogue with great dedication and success since 1968. The action of the European institutions and communities, such as Sant'Egidio, is crucial in restoring the values of solidarity and peace, especially in these times of increasing conflicts in Ukraine, Iraq, Syria, North Africa, and the Middle East. The principle of solidarity is at the foundation of the process of European integration. The thinking of the founders of the European Union, we can find the centrality of the person, freedom in solidarity, subsidiarity, respect for cultural, political, and social pluralism, and the principles of social market economy. For a lasting peace and to ensure a future for our youth and for the new generation, we must maintain and promote these values without distinction of language, religion, and economic or political system. Europe is the largest political, economic and social project in the history of the humankind. This project continues to involve in this continuous development the whole of humanity. I believe in Europe, but we need more Europe. But also in Europe we need more values for our young people, for our families, for our parliaments, for everybody. Because without values it's impossible to achieve our goals also in this life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I am now honored to give the floor to Professor Andrea Riccardi, founder of the community of Sant'Egidio. We thank him for cultivating dialogue and communicating his faith in a future of peace, even in the most troublesome times. Professor Riccardi, thank you for your words.
Majesty, illustrious representative of churches, representative of great religions of the world, dear Monsignor Boni, caro Presidente Tajani, dear friends. Many fires of war rage on the horizon. This is why we are meeting here in Antwerp, with women and men of different religions, with humanists, a meeting on a vital question. Will peace be our future? It is the question of those peoples who live in anguish, menaced by war. Will peace be our future? Some say that it cannot be the future. Be realistic, they say. It is impossible to avoid conflicts. Peace is not the future, at least is not the future for some peoples. It is a resigned no, a no that is basically brutal, indifferent. This no comes at a price. The suffering for hundreds of thousands of people. Women who are wounded, raped, children who have been stolen their childhood, men who are forced to flee. They are people without a future. We don't want to add our no to that of many. Influential religious leaders question themselves on these days. Can we accept this no? Is it possible to bless war? War is the mother of so much pain. War is the mother of so much poverty. We heard the voice of the religious tradition. War cannot be holy. War cannot be holy. Only peace is holy. Only peace is holy because it is the name of God. Peace is the name of God. Peace is the life for women and men. Meeting one another, listening to the painful situation of our world, religious leaders have reminded themselves a primary aspect of their mission, peace. May the message of peace resound powerfully. May this message conquer the hearts. May it discourage those who are tempted by violence. It is the message millions of people trapped in conflicts are waiting for. It takes audacity. It takes courage. Audacity and courage on the part of believers, on the part of religious leaders. Meeting, discussing, listening on this day has given back hope. I thank the city of Antwerp for the warm welcome. I want to express lots of gratitude to Bishop Joan Bonny, gratitude to the Church of Antwerp for their hospitality, for the harmony, working together. I thank everyone who contributed experience and wisdom. I thank the many who have attended our meetings, many who are here today. I thank you all who worked to realize this event. Ringrazio tutti gli amici che vengono da ogni parte d'Europa e che hanno lavorato volontariamente e generosamente per realizzare in ogni modo questi giorni. Grazie. We have built an event of peace in a world, in a culture that are resigned to war, scared by violence. The hope for peace flourishes once again, not just for us, but for everyone. Not just for us, but for everyone, for all countries living the war. Our world has lost ideals. It gave up a vision of the future. Often, we just try to find a little peace just for me, a little peace just for my little world. Today, from Antwerp, 100 years after the First World War, we propose an ideal. At that time, there was a world war. Why can't there be a world peace today? Don't put limits to peace. Is it a dream? Is it an utopia? No. It is so realistic. It is so human. Peace is indeed the future for all. I think this is the ideal to be realized, an ideal to live for. Thank you.
We just listened to the very deep and meaningful words of Professor Andrea Riccardi, the founder of the community of Sant'Egidio, addressing the square full of people, believers, telling everyone that in those days in Antwerp we just built an event of peace. Today, 100 years after the First World War, there is a new ideal. If there was a world war, we ask today ourselves, why can it be a world peace? It's not a dream. It is actually very human. peace is indeed the future for all of us.
Of the Sinti community in Germany. Her precious testimony will lead our thoughts to the sources and motives of our reflection during these days.
Good evening, Your Royalties, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. My name is Rita Prigmore. I am a gypsy from Germany and a survivor of the Holocaust, the last survivor of my family. I was born in 1943 and felt the horror of war with my family of the gypsies. Most of them were murdered in Auschwitz, Dachau, Bergen-Belsen, and other camps. Others were sterilized, so they had no future for families. My sister and I were born as twins. On my sister and I, medical research was done on how to change the color of the eyes. My sister did not survive. Peace is the future. We need peace so much in these times of war. 100 years after World War I, I fear that the past will repeat itself. The signs of war in many countries scare me. As Andrea Riccardi said, peace is an ideal that is humiliated into many regions of the world. Watching the television and seeing what horrors are taking place in the name of war, what humans have to suffer, it hurts me and makes me cry. Young girls being raped, old people being beaten, their homes and houses demolished, little children seeing their families being murdered in front of them. They are taken away from their families and home. The millions of refugees, they don't know what the future will be, or if they will ever see their families again. And the horror goes on. At this time in the world reminds me of the time of the Holocaust. Are we aware of what is happening? With my experiments of pain shared with the Gypsy people, I tell you, war ruins everything. Peace is the most important issue, and we have to preserve it, to honor and defend it. We have to build peace in our heart and take care of it. God saved my life and gave me strength to go on living. As a survivor, I have a responsibility to speak, and through prayers, God giving me strength and courage. Together with this community of Sant'Egidio, I speak to thousands of young people and tell them that we have to be aware of any kind of racism. Peace is the future. Let us build a future for the world in peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Prigmore. It is with some emotion that I would now like to give the floor to Ms. Lea Koyasum Dumta from the Central African Republic. In listening to her testimony, we shall be reminded of this conflict in this land, in the very heart of Africa, and we shall remember all Africans who suffer because of violence. Thank you, Ms. Dumta, for your words.
Majesté, Éminence, Excellence, chers frères et sœurs de la communauté de Sant'Egidio, j'ai l'honneur de prendre la parole au nom du peuple centrafricain, de ses souffrances et de ses espérances pour la paix. Après le coup d'État de mars 2013, le 15e de notre histoire républicaine, mon pays a sombré dans une spirale de violence dont nous ne voyons pas encore la fin. La République centrafricaine est un grand pays où il y a de la place pour tous.
The Central African Republic is big and there is room for everyone. Today, however, out of a population of 4 million, more than 1.5 million have had to flee their homes and survive only thanks to the international aid.
Si ces aides parviennent jusqu'à leur village. J'ai beaucoup voyagé dans les villes et villages de nos provinces.
I often traveled through the villages in our province, where I have seen men, women and children flee in front of violence. I have seen villages burned to the ground, whether in Buka, Kosangoa, in Bambari, or in Dekoa, in Kagabandoro, Bakala or Bosa. Life in all the cities in our provinces is a desolation. Never has so much violence been seen.
Ont toujours vécu ensemble en parfaite harmonie.
We had always lived together in harmony.
Nos jeunes écoutent chaque jour la prédication de la violence. Beaucoup d'entre eux font recours aux armes.
Listen to the preaching of violence. They take up arms and start on a path with no turning back. I ask for your prayers for our youth to be preserved from evil.
Nombreux sont ceux qui pensent qu'un avenir de paix est impossible dans mon pays. Moi, je crois le contraire.
Who are convinced that there can be no future of peace for the Central African Republic.
Plus fort que le désir de vengeance.
I do not believe so.
Il y a des signes d'espérance.
There is a widespread desire for peace among the men and the women of my people, which is stronger than hatred and the desire for revenge. There are signs of hope. In spite of the fact that many people fan the flames of religious hatred, it is in churches and mosques that people seek and find refuge. The support of the international community has enabled us to carry on this difficult time while my country was lacking everything.
nous ne pouvons pas nous permettre de gaspiller ces signes positifs qui doivent grandir, mûrir et porter des fruits. Aujourd'hui, devant les leaders religieux,
We cannot allow ourselves to waste these signs. They must grow and ripen in order to bear fruits of peace. Today, in front of the leaders of all the religions of the world gathered together, and after these days of prayer and dialogue, I am more convinced than before that living together is the future of my people. Peace is the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Koyasum Dumta, for your moving words. We shall now listen to the testimony of Mr. Al-Haj Murad Ibrahim, chairman of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front from Mindanao in the Philippines. His words will tell us how violence and war can be overcome even in the most difficult situations, and how perseverance and dialogue between different religions can restore hope and give rise to a future of peace. Thank you, Chairman Murad.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to everybody. I came from southern Philippines, from the island of Mindanao, and I feel honored to be together with you today. I would like to tell you that the spirit of Assisi arrived in Mindanao too. I say this because in our country, the religions have been important actors in helping the long process of peace negotiation. The signing of a peace agreement last March 27 this year between the Bangsamoro people, represented by the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and the government of the Philippines, has put an end to the long war that lasted more than 40 years. While the flames of so many conflicts are still burning all over the world, after the long night of war, today a new dawn of peace is born in Mindanao, the homeland of the Bangsamoro people. Yes, peace is possible. There is no future without peace. Peace is the victory of all. Dialogue between religions and cultures can change the world and can build up peace. Let us continue to live together in this spirit. Let us continue to build our common future, because peace is the future. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum.
will stand as we observe 1 minute of silence and silent prayer to remember all the victims of war, terrorism and violence all over the world. We will now, thank you. We will now listen to the proclamation of the appeal for peace, a precious fruit of this meeting. Meaningfully, in this centenary of the First World War, the appeal will be read by a German young boy and a Belgian young girl.
Women and men of different religions, we have gathered in Antwerp upon the invitation of Sant'Egidio, in the heart of Europe, a land subject to the horror of the Great War that affected Europe and the world a century ago. We pay tribute to the memory of the many who died, and once again we proclaim, war never again.
But today, war has returned to Europe, and in other lands it overwhelms experiences of coexistence that have lasted thousands of years, causing sufferance to too many people.
We have heard the prayers of millions of refugees and fugitives, of people who beg not to die of hunger and thirst, of diseases that can be treated in other parts of the world. We have heard the pleas of dignity rising from the poor, the claims for justice of entire peoples and of the peripheries of the world.
The world was given great opportunities and time to build peace, to bridge gaps, to prevent conflicts before they became too severe. The world has wasted so many chances, but now is the time for decision and not to be overcome by hopelessness.
War and violence in many parts of the world seek to redraw borders, communities, the way people look at each other. At the very time it has turned global, the world runs the risk of losing the sense of a common destiny.
There are profound diseases that make everything more difficult. Division and hopelessness affect people and institutions, weakening them, religious communities, political and international structures and organizations.
Religions are called to question themselves. Were they able to inspire the quest for a common destiny, or were they caught up in a logic of conflict? There is plenty religions can do. They can inspire and give back a heart to the search for peace as a common destiny of all peoples.
Today, we assume responsibility for peace in a time when few people dream of peace.
The world religions affirm, stronger than before, that no war is ever holy, that the elimination of the other in God's name is always blasphemy. The elimination of the other exploiting God's name is only horror and terror. It sets people outside authentic religion, blinded by hatred, and destroys the religion they claim to defend.
In difficult times, we commit ourselves to defending the lives of those brothers and sisters of religions different from our own who are endangered.
Let us work together for the future of the world, aware that war is a great foolishness and peace is something too serious to make it the affair of a few. Dialogue is the cure of conflicts. It heals wounds and makes the future possible.
War is overcome only by peace. When the path of peace is not envisioned, only rubble and hatred are left. We need the audaciousness to think of peace, because either the future is peace or there is no future for winners and losers alike.
To the younger generation we say, do not be fooled by the sad realism that says dialogue and prayer are useless. The world suffocates without prayer and dialogue.
Violence can be stopped. Whoever uses violence always discredits his or her cause. All is lost with war.
May God grant a future to the world, and that future is peace.
And now, the religious representatives will deliver the scrolls with the appeal to be given to the new generations. To them is the task to convey this message to all nations, represented here by the ambassadors and the authorities among us.
Now the child are entering the square, climbing on the stage, receiving the scrolls of the appeal from the religious leader. Then they will go down and deliver the appeal to the political authorities in front of them.
Reverend Lucian Avgustini, Vice President of the Albanian Bishops' Conference.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, vengo dall'Albania, terra di sofferenze e di martirio per i cristiani a causa della dittatura comunista nel secolo scorso. Tutte le religioni hanno sofferto in Albania per la dittatura che voleva privarci anche della libertà religiosa. Ma insieme abbiamo resistito al male con la forza della preghiera e la solidarietà tra credenti. Privati della libertà, ci siamo anche impoveriti materialmente. Oggi l'Albania cerca un futuro migliore. Lo cerca in Europa. Per questo sono contento di essere in Belgio, dove l'Unione Europea è nata. Noi albanesi sappiamo che un futuro di pace non ci sarà senza un'intesa tra le religioni. Chiediamo l'aiuto dello Spirito di Assisi per imparare
We ask the
ogni
help
giorno a vivere insieme in
of the
pace.
Spirit of Assisi to teach us how to live in peace. For this reason, in the name of the Church, I invite you all for the next meeting next year in Albania. In Tirana.
Sì, nel 2015 tutti in Albania.
Yes.
Next year in Tirana, Albania. Thank you.
And now, the representatives of the world religions will light the candelabras and sign the appeal for peace.
Representative of different religions who gathered together here in Antwerpen are signing the appeal for peace, and together will light up a candle as a sign of peace, of hope, of reconciliation, to say once again no to violence, because peace is the future. And you can see in those images Roger Echegaray, the cardinal who really started, together with John Paul II, the spirit of Assisi. it is true, there can be no solidarity among religion and violence. It was the dream of John Paul II in the great day of prayer and fasting for peace in 1986 in Assisi. And today, it is our commitment, our responsibility as Christians, as men and women of religions, as people of faith. It is the dream becoming true, and we can see it clearly in those images. The dream of unity that can make the world a place of peace, a place where human rights are respected. It is the dream of John Paul II who is becoming true here in Antwerp these days, and next year in Tirana in Albania. And we are all invited to continue this journey of peace and to build together our future with the name of peace. Peace is the future. But peace is also the dream of Pope Francis, as he said in his address speech to all those who gathered here together in Antwerp for the 28th edition of the meeting organized by the community of Sant'Egidio. The Pope said, "The leaders of different religions are called to be men and women of peace, able to promote the culture of living together, of encounter the others, culture of peace, especially when the other cultures are failing in our world." Yes, we want to be builders of peace, especially for the next generations, for those who are young nowadays. We want to build peace in our communities. We want to build societies where there is respect for dialogue, respect for every human being. And also the two youngsters, one from Germany and one from Belgium, who read the appeal for peace this year, are signing it together with the different leaders and different leaders of different religions. And here, such a beautiful images. A woman from Russia and a man from Ukraine together. That's the sign of peace. That's the hope that we have for peace in our world. And here, Professor Andrea Riccardi, the founder of the Committee of Sant'Egidio, together with Marco Impagliazzo, the president of the Sant'Egidio community, they just signed together the Appeal for Peace.
At the conclusion of this event, and concluding these beautiful days together, before returning to our countries, let us share with one another a sign of peace.